Thank you, Ms. Rodas. Members will be recognized by order of seniority for their 5 minutes of questioning. An additional round of questioning may be called after all members have been recognized. I need to advise members we have votes scheduled for 4 o'clock. So I'm going to be strict about 5 minutes. Please watch the clock. Keep your questioning to 5 minutes. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. America needs to understand that the historical model of the cartel operations has changed quite drastically in the last 4 years. We had always envisioned that criminal cartels, essentially born in their modern form in the 80s and 90s, have taken control of the criminal operations and the pipelines for drugs and human beings across Central America and Mexico up to our entire southern border, which is 1,954 miles of sovereign border. And as Americans, we envision that cartels operate south of that border. They traffic drugs and human beings to the border. They make a lot of money doing it. It's all criminal. They're brutal. And we have envisioned that there was always a measure of sovereign protection of our nation at the southern border, and cartel operations sort of stopped. We also recognize that within the interior of our country, we have traditional criminal networks that exist in our densities of population, commonly run by gangs, and those operations, although similar to cartel operations, were not nearly as organized or incredibly well funded, but they operated independently of the cartels in many hundreds of factions across the country. And what America has to understand right now is that the cartel operations now operate across the entire United States, and their pipelines continue through Central America and Mexico, across our southern border, into our major cities. I have reports of entire buildings held by cartels, old hotels and apartment complexes. The cartels are buying for cash, taking possession of for cash. They're running their operations out of there, not one, but several buildings like that, and a density of population, a network of sexual slavery operations and drug distribution operations, each easy to walk away from on short notice of a pending raid by law enforcement. America has to understand that this has happened, that historically the cartels would bring their product, human beings and drugs, to the southern border. It'd be some level of interaction by CBP, by federal law enforcement, state and local law enforcement, and then unaccompanied children would be processed through HHS and turned over to non-government organizations, where they would be turned over to family sponsors, either family or non-family, but sponsors that were vetted in some manner. This is a memorandum of understanding that operated for a long time. It was quite significant between the Office of Refugee Resettlement and the United States Department of Health and Human Services, the beginning process by which unaccompanied children were delivered to sponsors that were vetted. Because of the volume of children that were coming across in the last 4 years, and a part of that, the HHS and DHS joint statement of termination of this agreement, and this is from March of 2021, my brothers and sisters. This was a policy decision to step away from the strict means by which these children were monitored and controlled. And what it was replaced with was this sponsor care agreement. There's nothing to this. It's 3.5 pages, 2 pages of nothing that the criminal networks can easily take advantage of. So we have now delivered hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied children to unvetted sponsors that have enslaved them across our country. Ms. Hopper, you have done some brilliant research on the connection between trafficking, human trafficking, south of the border, and as it networks into our country. Please expound upon what I've been discussing today.
Thank you, Chairman Higgins. You're correct. The terrorists, the cartels, sorry, the terms are interchangeable to me. They do know our policies and the 94 actions that were rescinded upon the new current administration coming in. And they actually do use our programs and the manner in which we process unaccompanied children against us. They actually use Border Patrol and refer to them as migrant Uber. They know once migrants cross the border, it's one phone call away, the Border Patrol picks them up and processes them, and then they know to write the number and name of the sponsor the child. Sorry.
I'm not stopping you. I'm just telling you we're out of time here.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.